Happy Monday, Inspire Beauty. If you just popped on, I dropped in the chat our question of the week. And so I'd love if you answered that in here and just got some conversation rolling around the one thing in your business that you're pushing for right now. And that doesn't have to necessarily be the thing that's like the next checklist thing. Like maybe it's the next mountain you're trying to climb and you're just trudging it right now. And this is helpful because all of us can read what you're working on. A lot of people pushing for the Success Club, helping 3 people, locking that benchmark in. Some people rank goals, but whatever it is for you, that's sacred and that's important. It's meaningful because it's on your heart, but it's also important that we get around the fire and we can see who's pushing for the same things I am, so you guys can link up, right? I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Okay. You guys, I'm not going to kick off with any sort of announcements or anything because we just have the juice tonight. We've got it. We've got the goods. I'm so stinking excited, Kayla. Kayla, I had to ask her in advance so that I didn't butcher it. Ibanez, Kayla Ibanez is she's just amazing, you guys. And I've seen her in and around the business with this whole "Stop the Hey Girl" message, and it's just been something that, you know, I think it's just forward thinking. It's just getting rid of the ick factor in the business, and her heart truly is to help network marketers prioritize building relationships over sending just mass amounts of cold invites out. And so who here has ever felt like inviting can often feel, you put your hands up before I even asked the question. Y'all are funny. Who here's ever felt like inviting can be icky sometimes, right? Yeah, and that's why I brought Kayla on tonight, because I want you to not have that perspective. I want you to have the perspective of relationship building and selling with integrity. That is her MO. She is the founder of Stop the Hey Girl Method, and she is part of the Chicago social media agency. She's Forbes recognized. She's just incredible. So Kayla, I'm going to mute myself and let you take it away, sis.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. And yes, you nailed the last name. And I had to chuckle to myself because it's like, obviously, I know it's a hard name, but I've had it for so many years now that I realized we were joking with my team. And they were like, yeah, when I first got hired, I didn't know like what to say. So I just made up a name for it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess hindsight's always 20/20 there with naming things, but I digress. I'm known for it now. It is what it is. But I'm so excited to be here talking to you guys. I know I see a couple of familiar faces, but for those of you that don't know me, I have been in the BODi circle, the infrastructure, for over 10 years now. I've seen everything from DVDs before challenge packs were a thing. Like I'm one of those like oldies with a 5-digit coach ID. So I've been in this circle for a really long time. And I actually started this business in 2019 when my daughter was in the hospital, all pre-COVID. We've been used to all this stuff though. Living in the hospital for a year and a half, needing a bone marrow transplant. And so when we were there, I thought I was going to jump back into network marketing. I was always one of the really good product sellers, but always kept running into a wall when it came to business recruitment. Fast forward, spoiler alert, I found out what the problem was. And now I help other people fix it because I spent days doing exactly what you did, working 14, 15, 16-hour days, just trying to get somebody through the door. But all I was doing was creating a business that was built on a house of cards rather than bricks. Now I get to help other people avoid the pitfalls so that you don't have to kill yourself focusing on just making retail sales. You can attract the leaders who grow along with you. And I'm so excited to be talking about sales because it's one of those topics where for a while, I hated sales. Before my daughter got sick, before this business, I was actually working in heating and cooling, doing a lot of outbound calls. And no lie, it got to a time period where I would call and really hope that the voicemail would pick up so I didn't have to talk to someone. And a couple times they'd answer and I just hang up, mark it as a call, you know, because I was like, I don't want to talk to people about, you know, and that was something that I didn't really care about. So you think it would be easy when it's something that you love, and it's just not. And Leah, that's so funny because what's so funny is the person would call back and they'd be like, did anyone call so-and-so? And I'd just be like, nope, not me. I was such a troll. But it just goes to show, right? Sales is something that you can go from being uncomfortable with to I've done over $1 million of sales in just over 2 years. So it goes to show that you can learn to love sales. And that's what I'm excited to share with you today. But let me get the screen going. I am a slide deck queen. I don't know about you guys, if you like them, if you don't, but it's one of my favorite things to do because it keeps me on task. Number one, squirrel brain. And then number two, I think it's really nice to kind of follow along. And I do have some scripts, so I think it's easier sometimes to take a picture than it is to repeat what I'm saying. So let me get those up. Present. But we're going to talk about sales as it relates to preferred customer and BODi, which I'm super excited about because I don't know about you, but doesn't it feel like there's just so much happening at once right now? And like the bike isn't even here. And it's like, whoa, there's all these things that are like new, not just to us, but to our customers. So it's like, how do I talk about this in a way that not only gets people excited, but gets them to commit, show up, and do the work, which is, of course, what we're here to do, help people do the work and change their life so that, of course, our business grows and our lives are changed as a byproduct. But the problem that exists right now in sales, in the online space, in the network marketing space, but also specifically in the Beachbody space, is we are accustomed to selling to people, right, who all they want, it seems, are discounts, freebies. They want everything for nothing, instant gratification, outcome without the work. They're the people that are mad that they have to pay for VIP access because they don't want to wait. They want it now, but they don't want to pay for it. Sound off. Is that you? Are you getting those people? They expect everything to be free. They expect that your DMs are a customer support chat, right? Those people who we're accustomed to speaking to, they are not the people who are going to see the value of the preferred customer program or BODi long-term. And that's what really sucks right now, right? But also an opportunity to really change and adjust how we're speaking to people. And really, buyers are in one of two categories for all things in the world. And those categories are, you're going to hear me refer to them as low ticket buyers and high ticket buyers. Because, right, with knowing that right now we're speaking to low ticket buyers, spoiler alert, the goal is we want to speak to high ticket buyers. But with so many things happening right now, it's really important to proceed with caution with how you talk about it. Because I will say, as a whole, if you're feeling at all overwhelmed or confused, imagine how your audience feels and they're not even in the circle, right? They're on the outside looking in. So if you're feeling at all overwhelmed, your audience likely is too. But there's a way that we can really simplify it, because if you proceed with intention, you will be able to not only have aware customers, but you'll have aware customers that are ready to make an informed purchasing decision. Just look at it this way, right? We throw around the word bod, excuse me, like it's hotcakes. And now we have BODi. And I can assure you, we know what it means again, but even your audience, they're like bod, BODi, Joe, whoever, like, what is this? And what does this mean for me? So the biggest thing that we want to be thinking about, yep, you have a person that always chooses the cheapest option, right? But this is an opportunity, right? This is an opportunity to not only change how we speak to buyers for our entire business, but you get to practice using high ticket language to sell to individuals about the preferred customer program and BODi, right? Because one of the biggest questions that also came up in my DMs, especially over the weekend, was how do I really talk about the benefits of this when we've been preaching start a program, complete a program, submit your results since the dawn of Beachbody time? Has anyone kind of thought about that as well? Like, ooh, like, how can I follow a structure that my audience likes? How can I change things up? How can I make this make sense for my people? And so something else too that you likely have realized, most of the gurus out there, there are some names that have been linked even with Beachbody in the past, right? They have you thinking that it's easier to focus on deals, sales, flash sales, discounts, rebates. But what that does are, right, two pieces of harm. Well, maybe even more than two, but the two main ones is, number one, you're giving away your commission. And then number two, you are attracting a buyer that's not going to stay long-term anyway. I understand the premise, right? You bring someone in, yeah, you give away your commission, but the goal is that they're going to be your next rock star diamond and you're going to the top together, walking across the stage, everything's great. But right, with those people that seek out discounts, they are a lot less likely to stick around. And here's another perfect example. I joke, but I'm also dead serious that I understand what it means to be a low ticket buyer, because in many areas I was one, and in some I still am one. This isn't to say that a low ticket buyer is a crappy person, but, and you guys can admit this if you've ever done this, we've all been there, no shame in the game. But when I was broke as a joke, working 3 jobs, trying to figure it out, we still want to have nice things. I made a bunch of Starbucks accounts. Don't do this. I don't recommend this, by disclaimer. I made a bunch of Starbucks accounts with different birthdays, and I would literally drive across town like 2 times a week with different birthdays to get free Starbucks. Like, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, because I didn't want to spend the money. And no lie, they somehow found out, because I couldn't log into any account on my phone on the Starbucks app for about 3 years after that happened. So yeah, don't do it, because I just have the ability to have a Starbucks app again, and I'm paying for my coffee now, full price. It's smart, but again, like, it was freaky, because even I'd restart my phone, same thing, knew the password, tried to reset it, couldn't log in. They were on to me. But I was a low ticket buyer. I was seeking something for free. Same story, HelloFresh. I've been getting HelloFresh for over a year now, paying full price. But back in the day, you'd get a box and all you needed was a different email and a different shipping address. I had a box that went to my work, my husband's work, my in-laws. I milked the system because, yeah, they gave you a free box because they want to keep you. But right, what are your customers doing? They're canceling and they're sitting back and waiting for another deal to buy. Was I a crappy person? I mean, it's debatable, but we won't say that your customers are crappy. They're just low. Certain ones you're speaking to are low ticket buyers for their health and fitness right now. It's not to say they won't change, but you notice if HelloFresh kept trying to get me, I was just being a game player, scooting boxes all around town. I was certainly not a buyer that they were going to profit from. In this business opportunity, right? Or in this business rather, the business opportunity and even the preferred customer should be treated like a high ticket investment, speaking to high ticket buyers. Now, I know you're likely thinking, right, well, what is a high ticket buyer? What's a low ticket? We've been talking a lot about low ticket buyers, right? Low ticket buyers are the ones that they want convenience, right? So BODi makes sense for a low ticket buyer. It's under $100 for the whole year, impulse buy, instant access. They can do it anytime, right? Low ticket buyers are the ones that assume that they get everything for free. Since they bought that one thing from you one time, they assume they get access to you all the time because they bought that one thing one time. High ticket buyers, right? These are the people that are like, I don't care what you're buying, I want it. And if you haven't had anyone that has been like that to you, trust me, it's coming. Trust me, it's coming. High ticket buyers want to ensure that what they're investing in is the best fit for them. They're not hemming and hawing over the number of servings, the number of calls, the this and that. They just want to know that it's going to provide the outcome that they're looking for. For them, experience and quality matters over everything. And they understand waiting. An example of a high ticket buyer that you likely have in your infrastructure right now is a BODi customer who, when a new program comes out, they will decide they will either buy the VIP upgrade or they're fine with waiting. They're not the one who's complaining in the Facebook group that because they bought BODi for $100 that they should get everything all the time. That's a low ticket buyer. And we want the high ticket buyers. So that's a sign that you can tell of a high ticket buyer that's already existing in your infrastructure. Another thing to realize is, right, our language calls in one or the other. So when you are focusing about the features, what's included, what comes in the box, deal, discount, focusing on instant access, instant gratification, that appeals to a low ticket buyer. High ticket buyers care about the outcome, what they will walk away with. Once you go through this program, you will feel. Once you go through this, you'll experience blank, right? There's a reason why, like with my hair extensions, I'll use that as a wonderful example because I spend a lot of money on my hair. I go about once a month for the color and then the other month for an extension move up. So I'm spending a pretty penny every single month. And what sold me on extensions was I have very thin hair. You can't tell because of the extensions. And so When she told me about my hair and the ability to be voluminous and like flowing in the wind, I was like, sold, that's what I want. Because right now, without extensions, my hair is this. It is thin and it is stringy and it's not cute, but you blend it in with the extensions and it's fabulous. People who buy high ticket experiences, high ticket things, which investing in a business is high ticket no matter which way you slice it, they care about outcome. They don't care about how much it's going to cost to get there. I love in the chat, you'll drop 200 on Botox. Girl, 200, I did Botox. Even with my first 20 units free, it was still $250. So it would have been 400. But not to spend 160 on your health, right? And we all have things that we're low ticket buyers for, but our job isn't to take them from one side to the other. That's up to them. It's our job to make sure that we're not barking up the wrong tree, because it's a waste of our time and it's a waste of their time because they aren't ready. And the biggest differentiator in thinking between low ticket and high ticket buyer is short-term versus long-term thinking. And again, it doesn't mean that low ticket buyers are bad. They're just not ready. And there's things that even maybe in your business that you've been a low ticket buyer for. Let's say you're looking at investing in a course or investing in a program that's going to teach you business skills, right? Short-term thinking is, what am I losing right now from investing in blank? Oh, I'm losing $500, right? Short-term thinking tied to low ticket buyer. But someone can decide at any given moment to be a long-term thinking high ticket buyer. And high ticket buyers that think long-term are looking at, what am I going to gain long-term from making this investment? They say to themselves, okay, I'm investing $500 knowing that with these skills and what I'm learning, I'll be able to close and make that 500 back within a month, right? They're looking ahead. And those are the people that you want, right? Because those are the ones that will weather the storm in entrepreneurship. You don't want to sign someone into the business, right? Who's going to say, I'll try it and see how it goes. That's like, if I were to hire an employee, that's like, yeah, Kayla, I'll work for you. I'll give it a go and see if I like it. Am I going to invest hours and time and payroll training someone who's going to see if they like it? I don't know about you, but I learned a lot of lessons when I started having a monthly payroll that made me rethink every single life decision I've made up until this point, right? And it's the same thing as a mentor of a team. Your time is money, and you want to make sure that you're investing in someone, right, who has long-term thinking for long-term vision. So when we're thinking of the preferred customer program, right, what is the benefit of bringing a low ticket buyer into the preferred customer program, right? That's a little bit of a rhetorical question, right? Because the answer is there is none. There's no benefit, right? Because if you sign someone into the preferred customer program and they buy for a month or two, you might get some volume, but you're not getting a commission. You're putting in this time and then they leave. And what are you left with? So the best thing that you can do is to make sure, right, that you're utilizing the preferred customer program to bring in the right people. And I want to share a strategy. That's just one way to best utilize the preferred customer program. Are there other ways and other things to do? Of course. But, oh, something got bumped. But we're going to look at who that person is, right? Because obviously we want long-term thinkers as preferred customers and as active coaches, right? Because these long-term thinkers are the ones that understand the ROI of making a business investment. They understand about the monthly fees. They understand investing in their growth, investing in their products. And they also are, again, likely to weather the storms, because as much as we think we have to talk about the fun and the exciting parts of entrepreneurship to get people in, right? That brings in the wrong people. We want to bring in the people who understand that. And it's so true, right? It's like, I left my 9 to 5 so I could work 24/7, right? Like, they have to understand that we laugh about that because it's so true. It hurts when we're not working on our business. We're thinking about our business. We're trying to like enjoy a bath and we get a great idea, right? The brain never stops moving. And the person that you want, right, is someone who understands that that happens in this space. Yes, PCs need to be those who are, versus anyone with a pulse. Yeah, because honestly, it's like, if you're signing someone to preferred customer who's like, I'll try it and see what happens willy-nilly, they'll give it a go for a month and maybe cancel, you might as well just take some money and throw it out your window for your neighbors. Because it's like, who cares about my time, right? Because that's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody. It's paying corporate, but that's not paying you. So here's the strategy. treat preferred customer is kind of like a stepping stone to coaching.
Do you have any idea why my computer, my Zoom,
Oh,
the speakers aren't working?
oh. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I don't know what's happening and I can't see your name because I don't know, Zoom's not showing me. But hopefully you can hear me and hopefully it comes back if your audio kicked out. So what's the best person to bring into preferred customer? Treating it like a stepping stone to being a coach. And how is this a benefit for you, right? If someone isn't quite ready to coach, they're a little bit apprehensive, whether it's about giving their social, about feeling that it's stressful to feel like you have to sell, right? Like they're interested, but they're not quite there. This gives an opportunity to essentially train. It's almost like on the job training, right? To get them to a point where they make the empowered decision to become an active coach. Now they have the tools and the understanding to hit the ground running. So when they become an active coach, right, they've already had their placement. Now they're taking off. So that way, the time that you're investing in is essentially, I hate using like employee analogies because we know it's different, but that's the best thing I can come up with right now. It's almost like, right, training an intern to become your rock star employee. Again, analogy, we know they're not employees, but again, best example that I could give. So treating it almost like a training program. And you'll notice as I talk about this, what should we not hone in on when talking about preferred customer, right? The discount. Why? Because as we established, that's what's attracting low ticket buyers who just want to get a discount on their first order, right? Using preferred customer to give a discount on a first order, biggest colossal mistake. Because, right, they'll get a discount on that first order, you don't get a commission, and then they leave. But if the discount isn't a selling point, but rather icing on the cake for the right person, again, the right person is much more likely to stay and see through. So how to offer it? I recommend creating, I hate again saying group because I know we've got a lot of groups in this space, but it doesn't have to be a group. It can be a messenger pod. It can be a Marco Polo group, a Voxer group, something where you can put these, those in training, we'll put air quotes around that, into a group where they get more access to you than your regular retail customers do, but not quite as much as your active coaches. So that way you have established containers of support that you're able to split your time between to serve. And inside of that group for the preferred customer, whatever you want to call it, you get to decide what you offer them. Maybe you do little trainings for them. Maybe you do one-on-one calls once a month with them. Again, we could sit here and rattle off ideas for ages, right? But think about something that you can offer that's different than what everyone else is getting. But again, it's a way to kind of treat preferred customer almost like a slow cooker, to slowly prepare them at their own pace to be ready to reclassify and become an active coach. And if you want to take a picture of this, again, this is just kind of a way that you can offer it to someone. Again, you notice we're not honing in on discount. We're not talking about the nitty-gritty features that nobody cares about. It's talking about how preferred customer can get them where they want and giving them the option. And rather, and I've seen those graphics floating around, guys, the one that's like customer, preferred customer, that's gonna confuse, like people are gonna ghost you so fast because, right, it's overwhelming. They don't know what to pick. So if you're going to give a choice, I recommend doing two. So that way choosing between one or the other is a lot easier than choosing between three. So do you want to be a part of the VIP group that has those perks, or should we just get you started as a regular customer? Because as we know, they can change anytime. But the goal is to make sure that they feel good about where they're starting so that they're likely to show up, do the work, and continue. And giving choice is a great tool in creating an empowered purchasing decision. Before we move on to BODi, does anyone have any specific questions about that strategy for preferred customer? You're going to notice that for BODi, it's pretty much the same, just different minor details in different language. Countertops are being delivered. Hey, that's exciting. Any type of house stuff. Yeah, yep. Prepping to implement on our team page once it starts to reclassify. Yep. And that's such a great way too, right? Again, to split your time amongst the people that you have so that you don't feel burnt out by having all of these people to serve, right? I'm a big supporter of, again, having levels. And these levels, depending on what their investment level is and how much skin they have in the game, that's how much access these individuals get to you. And again, that's how you're able to commit to your business while still having life and energy at the end of the day. So if someone signs up and they're, are you still getting Success Club points? Was that confirmed? I know that was something that was discussed, that it's volume, it's not commission. And
So
if they sign up with a pack, they do get the same points, right?
yeah, so here's the deal, you guys, and I'll hop in on this real quick. When they are enrolled as a preferred customer, it's the same as if somebody was enrolled as a coach in that initial transaction. So our coach's initial transaction, we typically love it to be a challenge pack of sorts or a completion pack, because that is the last opportunity we have to earn any Success Club points off of that person's transactions forever, unless they were to change back to be a customer, right? So the preferred customer is the same. You can only earn Success Club points from that person on their very first order. So if this is a customer that's going to be in and out and a stick shift, I like to say, right? They're in, they're out, they're back, they're forth. I'm not going to forfeit my, later down the road Success Club points from that recurring order of that person when they want to come back all in, right? That person, to me, the preferred customer to me, is the consistent challenger that's just sold out on our community, right? And that's a great candidate, not the person that you don't know if they're going to be in or out, right?
In something that I don't have confirmation that this could happen, but I could see it happening, right? Corporate is likely to put out perks to try to push potentially preferred customers. So the biggest thing, right, as the business owners, to always, when any of these promotions, right, come out, look at it without the rose-colored glasses and say, does pushing for this help my business, my team, and my organization? Because sometimes, and a lot of the times, right, and I can't knock it, corporation wants to make money as well. I mean, I have a corporation here and I want to make money, right? But sometimes what's making them more money is not helping you or your team. So you get to focus on, will I participate in this promotion or will I not? And that's what's awesome, is you get to make that decision and you don't have to feel guilty about doing so. Leah, I think that's what I need to determine is what the access level is. Yeah, and the biggest thing too, and we're not really getting into this today because we're limited on time, but even in the past, because inside of my sales program, this is something that we work on. If you have been so used to giving things away for free, you get to set new boundaries and set new standards of what people get at any time. You can decide today that people, who are only BOD customers don't get to ask you coaching questions in the DMs. So just know that, yeah, like it's okay. And right. And I think most people understand that those investing at a higher level get more access to you. Like, I don't think any, again, fully paying attention person is going to be upset that my private client gets to message me and get an answer, pretty quickly, but someone, who bought a script or something, like, I'm not going to drop everything and go to them. So, right, most people understand that. And you get to set the standards and you don't have to give everything away because, right, people are engaged because of how you show up as a whole, not always just what you give them individually. And again, kind of another topic for another day about how a lot of that stuff creates codependency. And that's kind of a hard thing to break sometimes too. But looking at BODi, right? Again, the premise is pretty similar, but right, a little bit different, because with BODi, the biggest thing that we want to keep in mind is you have two sectors of people in your audience, right? The people who love structured programs. That's how they keep themselves accountable. They love knowing exactly what to do every single day. But then there's also the people that thrive off of the flexibility to choose, or people who are at a point in their journey, right, where they don't need to be on a program all the time, right? I believe there's seasons of life where structure in a program makes sense. And then there's time where flexibility is really the key of, right, living a happy and fulfilling life. BODi as a whole as well is very different from BOD, even though they're going to bundle it and have a lot of the things looking the same. BODi is more of a traditional membership format. And let me explain why that is. When it first officially launches, there will be a lot of people bundling annual. Usually when something first launches, there is a lot of annual, especially when there's a push. But once the dust settles, you'll notice that most of your customers are likely to be joining BODi on the monthly billing cycle because it's less of a risk, right? And a lot of people just prefer that convenience factor. As someone who's had a membership in the past, has a lot of clients with memberships, it's a little bit of a fine art in the world of client retention when it comes to a traditional membership format. Whereas again, auto ship is different, even though it is billed and shipped monthly, we approach it differently. And as I mentioned before, BOD is a little bit more of an impulse buy because most people on BOD under $100, low ticket purchase, they pay for the year in advance. So we don't quite treat it the same. So how can you get existing clients and new clients excited about BODi? Again, I recommend creating some type of group or offer, whatever we want to call it. Create something for the people who are taking part in BODi that's different from the groups that you host all the time. Because, and maybe you've even noticed this, you run a group every month, you get a little bit bored and you want to change things up. For your audience and for your customers, they're feeling the same. They're used to seeing, your routine of talk about the business, talk about the products. And with something new and as innovative as BODi, as a marketer, my best advice is to change things up. Do something that you've never done before, because again, this creates excitement for your existing customers to increase total dollars spent. And then also new customers who have likely been sitting on the fence waiting for something to pique their interest. As you have noticed, we've mentioned it, right? People aren't buying the features. So the fact that they can do a live workout with Autumn, like your people don't care. And I tell this story because it's so funny and it cracks me up every time, right? You talk about the trainers, maybe you have a favorite that you post about, right? You think that your audience like understands, right? That these are the trainers and the workouts. Well, I have a client who's been coaching for years and years and years. And she's a big Shaun T fan. And so when Let's Get Up came out, there was a lot of like promotion materials. And then she posted a picture of them when they met once at Summit. And she got a DM from someone who's like, oh, that's so cute. Like, is that your husband? Like genuine, serious. They thought that Shaun T, because of all like their cute pictures from Summit and the cruise and all this, that was her husband. And so we died laughing because it's like, you think people know, they have no idea. They have no clue they don't know who Shaun is. They don't care. They don't know who Mwala is. They're just like, oh, who's that good looking guy, right? The features aren't what gets people in and they're excited. They want to work with you. One of my mentors, I can tell, because again, when you live and you watch this launch calendar, I know she's got something brewing that's coming. I messaged her and I said, I don't know what's coming. I don't fully get what it is, but I want it, right? Because I want to work with her. It doesn't matter what it is. And again, those are the people who are your high ticket buyers who want BODi, not because of the live workouts or what time they are and this and that and equipment. They just want to be a part of something that you're leading. So I want you guys to sound off in the chat for me, right? We know that features aren't selling it. It's the benefits, the outcomes. Go ahead and sound off in the chat about what are some of the benefits or outcomes of BODi. Love to see what you say. It's a loaded question. That's what my grandma says. She won't do the workouts, but she will look at Shaun and Joel all day. That's hilarious, right? Community to try new workouts. Yep, competition. Pick and choose. So you will notice, and I'm not like picking on these answers, right? This is a great learning opportunity, that a lot of these are features, right? A new trainer each day, seeing others work out at home, being on screen with the trainer, trying new workouts. A lot of these are features. And again, these aren't what are going to get people off the fence. But you know what does? What is a benefit? And you can keep asking yourself, right, to get more specific. What's a benefit of trying new workouts? What's a benefit of picking and choosing? What's a benefit of seeing others work out at home? I'll give you an example because I like to ad lib and it came to mind. A benefit of seeing others work out at home. Let's say you feel really discouraged because you feel like you can't keep up with the people in the video, but you see the person on the screen who's showing up and kicking ass and maybe a little bit slower, but you're like, I can keep her pace. And so that motivates you to keep going. Can you notice how that language and just really honing in on that could be enough that gets someone off the fence, right? Because it's not about seeing others, it's about seeing a person that looks like me. And it helps me believe that I can do it. And that's just one example, right? That might not resonate with you, might not resonate with your audience, but my goal is that you're able to see how using the features language, you might get a couple sales, right? But you're leaving a lot of money on the table from people who want to buy, but they're not called in because we're using low ticket language, trying to sell a long-term membership style product, right? Because how many people would love to have people, a slew of people on BODi every month, loving it, getting that consistent residual income, right? And so that's an opportunity, right? I'm going to go back and read some of these. Made excuses all the time that I didn't have the space, right? And so, like, again, always ask yourself, well, what's the benefit of that? Or what's the outcome once someone does that? And keep asking yourself until you get to the point of why people buy. And another example, I think I wanted to say it here. Yeah, perfect. I wanted to say it here too, is something that I like to call the purse test. And I'm sure I didn't fully come up with this premise, but I think I'm the only one that calls it the purse test. So riddle me this, right? You're getting ready to go to sleep. You're under the covers, you're comfortable. You know, when you find the spot on the pillow, whether you're on your side or on your back, and you're like, yeah, this is the spot. Like, this is how I'm going to go to sleep, right? And you close your eyes and about 2 seconds later, you remember there was something you forgot to do. Crap, I got to pay that bill or something stupid. You're like, crap, I'm going to get a fee, whatever. And you're like, oh, but my purse is downstairs. So I have to get up, be cold, go downstairs in the dark, find my purse, come back upstairs, right? And so you're like, that's a lot. There are certain things that you're not getting out of bed for, right? When you're there, you're like, I can send that message tomorrow. I can do that tomorrow. But when we sell something, we want to ask ourselves, does it pass the purse test? Is someone so moved by what you're saying that they're going to get out of their warm bed to go get their purse, to get their wallet, to pay you? And so we've got to ask ourselves, right? And again, I'm not picking on anyone specific, I'm just picking on the lingo, right? Is picking and choosing your workout going to pass the purse test, right? Is you can be featured live with the trainer. Will that pass the purse test? Seeing others work out at home. Will that pass the purse test? Because for a lot of us, right, it's like, oh, that's nice, but I'll just wait and do that tomorrow. But as we know with our customers, right, tomorrow never comes because it's easy to push off. So I know your brain is kind of like turning now with, ooh, I already know what language I can use to talk about this to be ready when it goes public. Start writing that down, right? Because especially to invest in anything, right? People need to be moved with feelings. They're not, especially women selling to women, right? They're not moved to get out of bed to get their purse with facts, right? It's always feeling. So how can we sell this? Again, this is just sample language, but I want you to notice the biggest difference is we're not talking about the features at all, right? You know, and again, small group, whatever language you want to call it. I am hosting an exclusive hands-on small group pod for those who are committing to BODi this year. This is specifically for women who wanted to work more closely with me and focus on blank. Do you feel like that's a good fit? So this can be sent to an existing customer. This could be sent to someone who you're talking to. And again, I always recommend putting it back in their court with something that maintains authority. So avoiding language like, let me know if you're interested. I also recommend, can I send you more info, right? Because they don't need more information. They need to stay in contact with you. So I don't recommend breaking contact to send a video or an email, right? Because as we established, they don't need more information or facts. They need to know that it's going to help get them what they want. Sally, you know, because you said you wanted to work on losing the 30 pounds before your sister's wedding in December, I got to thinking, and I actually highly recommend upgrading to my group that includes a one-on-one call each month, because that way we can help you set up a plan so that you aren't hitting the drive-through every single day after work, because I know you mentioned that that's what's keeping you from seeing success. What are your thoughts on something like that? She's like, yeah, I really want that. Awesome, Sally. So having that one-on-one call each month will be able to help you get closer to your end result. Yes, definitely. Awesome. So my VIP BODi group includes that. So how does that sound? Us getting you set up with BODi in addition to blank. Yes, that sounds good. Boom. Didn't have to talk about the nitty gritty, right? Because Sally wants to lose 30 pounds for her sister's wedding this December. She doesn't care necessarily right now while making a purchasing decision, how it's going to happen, how many workouts, how many this or that, right? She just wants to know that she's going to get what she wants. Scrolling, there we go. And then of course, existing clients. If you are feeling overwhelmed by any of this, totally normal, because as I said, remember, everyone else out there is teaching you to sell to impulse buyers who aren't going to buy this. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I recommend starting in a little bit more of a comfort zone, and that is offering this as an upgrade, if you will, to existing clients who you feel a little bit more comfortable with. So I recommend taking a picture of this. Again, always do your language. Don't just copy paste this, pretty please. People can tell when it's not you. But again, Sally, we've been working together over the past 6 months. I love how you were able to just buy that new smaller dress size. That's so freaking cool. And you were actually someone who came to mind because I'm actually privately inviting a handful of my existing clients for a graduate program for those who want to work on being more consistent with insert whatever here. When is a good day for us to catch up and chat details? Again, a little bit more casual here, but direct, because we're assuming this is someone who we have history with. But again, you notice, do you want more details? Let me know if you're interested, right? We're keeping control of the conversation. When is a good day for us to catch up? Is Monday or Friday a better day to catch up, right? Maintaining control and authority in the conversation, going through and assuming that she will want to talk and hear more information from you. Sally, I'm actually going to be opening a brand new style of support group. I've never done this before, but I'm just so excited about what's coming. And I'm actually inviting a few of my top clients who've been showing up in the group, consistent, doing all the work. And I would love to know, would you want me to add you to that invite list? So let's say that you're like really nervous. Start with something like this and start to create kind of like a wait list. You can keep track on the notes on your phone. You can keep track in a Google Sheet, whatever's most convenient. But that way you're opening the door, and private invites are so powerful. And right, so many people are so afraid to send them, right? Because it's a little nerve-wracking. Well, what if this person says no, right? When you launch something publicly and people ignore you, you don't know specifically who's ignoring you. So it's easy to not take it personally. But when it's one-on-one, it's scary. But the minute you get comfortable communicating with people in a one-on-one basis and saying, especially existing customers, and inviting them to invest more, those are the people that are going to move first, right? Because your existing clients, your customers, they're here and they love you and they want to work with you more. They just need to know that there's an opportunity to do so. So I always recommend starting here if you're a little bit nervous. And again, as I mentioned, this is a more traditional membership style offering. And so when you recognize that and you can understand, again, how people view memberships, how they make decisions based on memberships, it's easy to understand what you can do that's within your power, really, to help client retention, right? Because how many people, again, you want to keep people on BODi. Like, you don't want to just sign them up and then they leave at the end of the first month. You want them to be on it consistently, seeing the benefits and enjoying being a part of that community with you. So I believe that knowledge is power. So I want to give you some insight about some of the biggest things that really negatively impact client retention and memberships. Most people cancel a membership when they feel like they forget to use it or they aren't getting as much use out of it as they want. It's not because they don't like it or they don't think it's cool, right? If they don't feel like they're getting the most use out of it, when money fear kicks in, these things are the first to go, right? You see those apps advertised everywhere, right? Where it's like, figure out what the monthly billing is and cancel it, right? If they're not getting use out of it. So write down this question and journal on it or reflect on it after. How can you ensure that BODi is consistently used by your customers? What are some things that you can do to help improve the consistency with that because we don't have full control, but we can help. People also cancel memberships when it feels like there's too much and they can't possibly utilize all of the features, right? Or they can't get the benefits because there's too much. That's another reason why I never recommend selling a membership by focusing on the features, because that's also what keeps people from signing up. It could literally be $5, $10. If in their mind, they don't feel like they could possibly utilize it all, in their head, they're not getting their money's worth, even if it's $5. Planet Fitness actually did a study on that. It was really, really interesting, right? Because it's like, man, $10, why are our numbers not even better? And it's because with the hydro massage and things like that, like stuff like that, people were like, I won't have time to use it, so I just won't join, period, which is crazy, but that's how our subconscious thinks. So how can you simplify and not overwhelm with information while talking about BODi to increase conversion and retention? Again, as we mentioned, focusing on benefits, whether it's one benefit or two benefit or outcomes, rather than listing out the features. We think more features means people seeing more value, and that's not true. It's one of the biggest things with a consistent offer like this. And I'll give you some insight. The only types of offers where listing out a gajillion things is actually beneficial is for a impulse, low ticket tripwire that costs anywhere from 99 cents to $37. And we're not selling that stuff, so that doesn't even matter to us, just to give you some insight though. Interesting to think about when we share the value. Does that come across too much at times? And the biggest thing too, right? Value is best used in the right place, but before the sales process. That's why it's important to do it before the sales process, because when objections come up in the sales process, it's them not seeing the value. And usually objections are just requests, right? I think it's a Zig Ziglar quote. Objections are simply requests for more information. So when we make sure that we communicate value and answer questions before we talk money, you get a lot less objections. Something else to think about, right? You ever have a membership or anything and you're about to cancel and then you see what's coming next month and you're like, okay, I'll keep it, right? That's another tool that you have in your tool belt. So when you think about your audience, what do they care about? How can you give them something to look forward to each calendar month to increase retention? You have time, right? We're still in beta. Start thinking about that. And really, this is a great opportunity, again, to not compare to what everyone else is doing, what matters to you and what matters to your audience. And the biggest thing, guys, and I know we barely scratched the surface talking about two big announcements. The best way to get better at sales, right, starts with having a high ticket sales strategy and starts with practicing and asking the right questions to help your prospective customers make an empowered purchasing decision. Because the goal of a sale is to not get a yes. The goal of sales is to get an empowered yes or an empowered no, to get anyone out of that messy middle and into making a decision and making sure that we do our part to help them make that empowered decision. Because when someone is making an empowered purchasing decision, they're also not just more likely to sign up, period. They're also more likely to stay, do the work, and see the results, which is why we're in this industry doing what we're doing anyway. So if you feel like you have a churn problem with customers, with team members, a lot of it boils down to how you brought them in the first place through the sales process. So it's something that is important to prioritize, and something that if you're feeling uneasy, it's something you really want to focus on, especially before the bike drops. How many people are excited about the bike? Whether, again, you already have one, you plan on buying it, are you excited about selling it, talking about it to people? All right, look at the video. We got a few people. Honestly, if you're not excited about it, that's okay too, right? Because there's so many different things that matter more to you. I got to make room in my house for it. I have a Peloton at home. Not going to lie, my husband uses it more than me, but I think I am going to do a mixed bike spoof using my Peloton to kind of like laugh. If anyone's ever seen my trainer Tiffany videos, I haven't done one in a hot minute, but they're on my Instagram, my IGTV, if you want to laugh. But yeah, my son will love it. See, has to move to the side. There's a new sheriff in town, right? But I love that. But when we think about it, right, especially now that we're getting into a product that's $1,300, $1,500, I want to ask you guys a question. Can you sound off in the chat for me? Do you think it's easier to sell a challenge pack or a mixed bike? Dun, dun, dun. What do you think? Which is easier? All right, all right. I love to hear from as many people as possible. I love it. I see how we're pretty evenly split. Yeah. It's true. You're good. You're good. It's easier to sell the bike. High ticket products are easier. But what's awesome is, again, the business opportunity is a high ticket product. Preferred customer is a high ticket product, right? And what's awesome is, Leah, I gotta combat your response a little bit. It has nothing to do with the price, right? High ticket buyers, again, aren't buying for the specs. They're buying because they want to buy it from you. They want to buy it from you. And high ticket buyers aren't hung up on how much. They're the ones who say, awesome, send the invoice, right? Because they're not looking at what they're spending right now. They're looking at what they're going to gain on the other side. So based on what we've talked about, what kind of buyer do you want more of? A low ticket buyer or a high ticket buyer? Yes, exactly, right? Because it's so much easier. And I tell people, and like, we kind of joke and we kind of laugh, but it's true, right? The low ticket buyer is like, oh, is there a discount? Is there a coupon? Do I also get this included, right? High ticket buyer says, awesome, I'm ready, send the share cart. And they take care of it like usually same day, because they're just like ready to go, right? You don't have to chase them around for the next 3 weeks, 6 weeks. Yep. And that's the power. So before we jump into Q&A, I wanted to share with you guys, I don't have this open to the public anymore, but my sales course that I've been working on for the last 8 months, I just got done launching it. It's called Ignite Your Invite. And this is for the person who isn't feeling confident in sales and really wants to challenge themselves to develop a high ticket sales strategy and wants to be coached and guided through the process on starting the conversation all the way through to overcoming objections so that you can stop chasing people. So I will go ahead and drop the link if you guys want to jump in on that. The course is less than $200. Like, it's ridiculous. But again, I wanted to make this available for you guys since I'm talking to you and it's super relevant. And I feel bad if I was like, hey, I had this thing and I was launching it and then I just closed it so you can't get it. Like, that's kind of like shoddy. So I don't want to do that. So I will drop the link and we have some good time here to do some Q&A if you guys are cool with that. Or if you have, again, any other specific questions, not even just pertaining to what we talked about, but anything else in the business. Like I said, I know Beachbody like the back of my hand. So
Kayla, so this is so good. And you know what? I didn't even anticipate tonight that you were going to like educate us on PC and BODi. This just exceeded all of my expectations.
I'm so glad.
Already high. Hey, talk to me about, because I love this idea of like, you know, we're going for, everyone's like, yeah, I want the high ticket. I want the high ticket buyer.
Yep.
I want the high ticket buyer. Of course. Can you talk to me a little bit and talk to us a little bit? What does that take on our end? How must we show up to attract someone who is a high ticket buyer via our own journey and maybe the way we market? Can you touch on that for a hot second?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's absolutely, it's a loaded answer, but it's also really simple. It really boils down to the language, right? And the biggest ways that we can help our language is focusing on benefits versus features. So benefits and outcomes, I put them together. And then avoiding ambiguity. The biggest mistakes that we make as a whole, and I still do this all the time, I catch myself, is we're very surface level almost, where it's like, you know, I help busy moms feel good. I help busy moms have more energy. And it's like, if I were to ask all of us, even those who aren't moms, what more energy looks like, every single person here will give a different answer. So the people reading that might not pertain to them, but they could be your perfect person because you just didn't use specific enough language that evokes feeling, right? Going back to the purse test, the example that I gave about, you know, seeing someone on the screen who looks like me. And I knew that like, I didn't look like the trainers, but I can still have success, right? Someone who looks like me is kicking ass. So it's like, how can I use language that evokes feeling. And again, it's loaded, but it gets to be simple. And those little shifts that you make are how you attract high ticket buyers rather than low ticket buyers. And again, this is all stuff that we dig into the nitty gritty of and inside of Ignite Your Invite too. So if that's something you want help with, then I recommend, because again, the course spells it out like as simple as ABC. But yes, questions.
I'm just going to keep rolling questions.
I love it. I'm ready.
It looks like Leah's got one though.
Oh, perfect. Price is always a sticking point. I know the value, but I still like, so when it comes to price, what are the questions / objections that you usually get, Leah?
I usually try to type my internet's so hot, crazy. I think the main thing is I know a lot of the people that I talk to, like a lot of my friends, they don't, $160, that's a lot of money for them. So that's why I've always leaned towards, you know, like now with a preferred customer, I know they can get that too. So I've always leaned towards that because I want to give them the best bang for their buck because I know they don't have the 160. So that's always hard to overcome.
Right. So the biggest thing to always keep in mind is I want to give you some comfort here, Leah, to know that when it comes to friends and family, no matter what, they will always be the biggest obstacle. And so the biggest thing I always ask is like, are these members of friends and family your ideal client? Because usually it's just hard. It's just hard because of the relationship involved. It's hard, right? Because with some of them, right, you do know their situation. But how that's likely impacting you, Leah, is because using friends and family as an example, let's say you know a little bit more about their financial situation. Now, when you go and talk to someone who's not one of them, what happens is you end up putting your previous experiences and beliefs about money and almost like superimposing them onto someone, right? Without even knowing. And of course, it's because you're empathetic and you care and you don't want to think that you asking this is taking away from someone. But the biggest thing to always remember is most money objections are not actually affordability. It's not seeing the value. Like 99% of the time. Because again, I always tell people, like, I've been so like at the end of my money, taking my kids to make a lunch out of samples at Whole Foods and Costco. So like, I get it, right? But I still had an iPhone. Like, I can't say shame in the game. I still had an iPhone. You know what I mean? So it's like, even if money is tight when we want it, like for the most part, when basic needs are met, right? Like we figure it out. And I always put that disclaimer on that too, outside of basic needs, right? But I always say this too, if you know that someone isn't sufficiently having their basic needs met and you do have that knowledge, I believe that it is outside of integrity to try to sell to them. So keep some of that in mind too. The biggest thing with money, if anyone else has any other specific money objections, because my answer to them greatly kind of varies. But oftentimes I always throw it back with a question. So if it's like, oh, that's really expensive. What part? Because if they can't answer, it's not actually expensive, right? And I'm sure we can all say that at some point or another, we've said something is too expensive, even though it's not, and we have the money. It's just a knee-jerk response when you don't really understand how something can give you what you want. Like, I don't see how this will enrich my life. I'll just say, oh, I don't have the budget right now. Like I do stuff like that without even thinking. And I catch myself and I'm like, noted. Because it's an easy response because most people don't challenge it. But when you know that someone said they want something and you can help them get what they want, ask permission to challenge them. Sally, can I challenge you on that? So long-winded answer to your question, Lee. I hope that was helpful. It's a lot of money for you too, but you invested, right? Because
I think I do that a lot. I think I put my fear on them because I don't know. I feel like I do that, and then I'm like, I feel like I'm so desperate to make it work. I feel like Tommy Boy in that little in that scene, he's like squishing the roll. I feel like I do that a lot.
I totally get that. And something else too is I will also ask people, so is the money the only thing that's keeping you from getting started today? If they hesitate, another sign it's not about the money. So I'll say, okay, I sense a little bit of hesitation. Can you tell me what else is coming up? Because again, usually it's more questions. So another thing that I recommend doing always is before you talk investment, make sure that you get every question out of the way and confirm interest again, because that way there shouldn't be any other obstacle once you talk money. So I'll say, awesome. So we're about to talk investment. Are there any other questions that I can answer or things that I should know before we talk about that? Because once they know when the money conversation is coming up, they will be a lot more likely to ask any other questions that could lead to objections down the road. And that helps save you a lot of time too. Yes.
That's amazing. And I hope you guys are hearing that there is a flow and an art form to what Kayla is talking about. And Kayla, in the chat, can you drop your Instagram handle so people know where to find you and follow you? I opened up the link also, so I have it. So I'll make sure that goes back to our team page too after we get off of here so people don't miss it.
DMs, email, I mean, you can do them anywhere. Zoom, face-to-face, phone, DMs, voice memos. I mean, it really works the same. And what's powerful is being able to learn and practice. And when you, again, start working on this stuff, you're able to think of responses really, really quickly. And so if it's not happening right now, that's okay. Because the more you do it, the more you know, okay, perfect. I know what question I'm going to throw back at them. And that's also really good for you because coaching through the sales process also helps you become a better coach and mentor for your customers as well. So it's a twofold benefit. But for sales process, I always recommend if you're actively selling, I would get it out of emails because that's just a lot of back and forth and waiting. And so I would get someone on the phone or get them on Zoom if it started in email, especially for the business opportunity, 100%. Any other questions?
I love it. And this gives us so much to think about too, with sharing our stories and content crafting and how do we go about, you know, evoking feelings. And a lot of the gals on this call tonight, you know, we've been chatting that it's the, okay, I'm comfortable inviting to my, you know, my groups, my BOD groups. And I'm comfortable talking about that, but how do I do the same thing then with the high ticket tier, which is coaching, right? That big ticket all in investment. So this is great. This is just thought provoking tonight. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I love what you said. That's just, you know, we're so comfortable doing things and sometimes we just have to adopt a little bit of changes. But the biggest thing to remember too, especially as that bite comes out, guys, like people don't buy a Peloton because of the features. And I say that as someone who bought a Peloton, right? It's a status symbol. That's a part of it. No shame in the game, but also, right, it's to be a part of something. Like no one's buying a Peloton because it's the best of the best, because I'm sure it's probably not. There's probably bikes that have way better specs, but like, we don't care about that, right? And this is gonna be the same thing with your people too.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'm gonna hit stop on the recording.